Hello and welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills. I'm your host and producer, Tia Young. Today, our special guest is the founder and CEO of Blue Artists. He has successfully directed and produced over 16 dozen major productions, from televised broadcasts and corporate industrials to theatrical presentations and nationally acclaimed music videos. As a full-time director and senior producer for Blue Artists, our guest is responsible for leading the way in quality and vision for the company's many business operations, including media, technology, and professional services. Our guest has been featured on CNN, Bloomberg Business, Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, Spirit Renew, Church Support Services, Examiner, Practicing Communicating, Microfilmmaker, Visitor Magazine, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pierre Walters to Skills to Pay the Bills. Pierre, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tia. I really appreciate you inviting me here today and spending this time together on the show. This is fantastic.
Well, I know you're coming from Maryland, so I have to ask this question. How was that driving?
It was, I think we beat the traffic for today.
Okay,
so
good.
It was all right.
Well, we've got a lot to cover, so we're going to get started
Absolutely.
with what is Brand Desk?
Well, Brand Desk is a new online platform that my business, Blue Artists, has recently launched. Brand Desk is an online platform that is designed specifically for visionary business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are motivated to get out there and build their own brand. And what we've done with Brand Desk is we've assembled a large amount of services that we know that these business owners are going to find a lot of value in. Services like website hosting, services like logo design, all kinds of things that we know that they're going to really want and really need. And what Brand Desk does is it makes it accessible, it makes these services affordable, and it connects these entrepreneurs and business owners, these customers and clients, with producers and artists who are well qualified to meet them where they are and bring their vision to fruition.
So what type of customers would be able to utilize Brand Desk?
Well, we know, I'm pleased to say that Brand Desk is available for anyone who is interested in building their brand at a higher level. But we attract people who have just recently started their business. Maybe they've just launched their business. Maybe they're in the still in the ideation phase of kind of understanding what it is that they want to do, or what it is they want to provide or offer to their community. And Brand Desk has tools and Brand Desk has strategic tools as well as services that help entrepreneurs at that stage articulate their vision and then put the pieces in place to actually realize their vision. Okay. Now, we also offer, I would say, very robust services for entrepreneurs who are at the other end of that spectrum. Maybe they've been in business for 3 to 5 years. Maybe they have maybe 10 or more employees, 20 employees, hundreds of employees. If they're interested in quality PR services, quality marketing services, hosting services, they can find those services on Brand Desk, as well as consulting. I mean, there's a wide variety, but we're trying to really meet most of our customers where they are, whether they're well experienced or even if they're just beginning.
Just beginning. Even if they had an idea, maybe they are thinking about setting up a business, but they want to know beforehand what the branding and marketing and media would be like.
Yeah, and actually something I'd like to say about that is, one of the biggest roadblocks, I think, when anyone's really beginning their journey as an entrepreneur, is trying to make sense out of all the costs associated, all the expenses associated with making your vision a reality. And we have a really cool tool in Brand Desk. We call it a revenue strategy. And now this is just one of many cool tools. We've got executive action planning to help you break down your idea or your vision into a series of goals. We have social media action planning to help you put together a solid plan for success on social media. But the revenue strategy is my favorite, because the revenue strategy helps you to articulate exactly how many people you need to reach in terms of marketing in order to earn the amount that you're looking to earn in terms of your revenue goals for the year. So sometimes it's not clear. And sometimes the question is, well, if I want to sell this many products, that means I need this many customers, which means I need to reach exactly how many people. Okay, so this revenue strategy tool helps you to determine, well, you got to reach several 100,000 people if you want to get, maybe half that in terms of prospects and maybe half that in terms of potential customers. And that revenue strategy really breaks that down. And once it's broken down, and I know I'm going on, but once it's broken down, then the revenue strategy actually recommends the appropriate types of marketing services to help you achieve those goals. So it's my favorite because it's visual, it's action oriented, it allows you to set your goals in terms of revenue for the year or for 6 months or whatever your term is, and then it provides well-educated strategic recommendations on specifically which services are going to help you to best reach that goal.
So if I say I was having an event and I want to have at least 50 people at that event, you could help me determine how many invites or how I have to push it out to get that 50 to reach that 50 goal.
Exactly.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's pretty cool, because especially when you're first starting out, I mean, you don't know how to do that.
Yeah. It can be overwhelming, and I think having a tool that you can use to kind of think through that and break that down and make sense of all of that, and then give you action items. I mean, I wish I had that when I was starting.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just really excited. That's one of my favorite tools in Brandesk.
Okay. Now, you are also the founder of Walters Publishing. So what and how does that work?
Yes.
That's your namesake, right?
Yeah, Walter, that is my namesake. I'm really excited about Walters Publishing. I think it's always been a dream of mine to help other people publish their own books and to get their stories out. And really, it began for me with my mom when I was growing up. One of the dreams that my mom would express to me was that she always wanted to be an author. She always wanted to write her own books and write her own poetry books. And I remember watching my mom as a young kid. I remember watching her work so hard to put together her first manuscript. I mean, this thing was like hundreds of pages. It was her first manuscript. She sent it off to a publisher, and they responded. They rejected her. They weren't going to publish her material, and they didn't return the manuscript. And my mom, bless her heart, my mom sent them the only copy that she had. She actually didn't. I don't know how. I think this was before computers were as easy to accessible as they are today. So this is a while ago. But she had typed this thing up and she had printed it out and didn't have the original file, and that was her manuscript, and she sent that off and it was gone. And so that really kind of broke her heart. And I always wanted to find a way to
that makes me want to cry.
Yeah, just like prepare that.
And even, I mean, there was no way that an attorney or somebody could.
No, they had
seems like that's against the law.
Well, they have strict policies, these publishing companies, about basically not being responsible for whatever you send them.
They expect you would have a copy, I guess.
How are you supposed to know that? And I think my mom, my mom definitely didn't get the guidance that she needed. I think as a new author, and that's another thing. I mean, there's a lot of rules. There's a lot of challenges when it comes to publishing any kind of book. Let alone, seeking a deal with a major publisher. And if you're not properly guided or educated, you're bound to make a costly mistake. And, so that was just a story with my mom, and that inspired me I said, hey, you know what, that's a problem that I want to solve. And I think, I'll say this, I think at the heart of it is I'm attracted to problems that I can solve.
Right.
If I can't solve it, I'll let it go.
You let it go.
But if I feel like there's something I can do, there's something I can contribute to this to resolve this for people, then I'm gonna go after it. And so that was one. Yeah. And so we, this was over, I think 5 years ago, we laid the groundwork for Walters Publishing. And the very first book that we ever published was mine. And it was Prove It With Pictures.
Prove It With Pictures, okay.
That was the very first one. That was kind of the prototype. That was kind of the, can we actually do this? Can we actually publish a book that gets sold and people enjoy? And there was some bumps, I think, along the way, but we really learned and perfected it since that time. And now 5 years later, I'm pleased to say that we've published well over 150 different authors.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is something. Well, I was kind of going back to what your mother experienced. What is one of the most common issues that you run into when you're working with new authors? In
terms of the most common, I would say that it is just a lack of guidance, just an absolute misunderstanding as to what the process entails. And I think we have a lot of miseducation now with the advent of self-publishing. And so there's this sort of framework, which is that, well, everyone can publish their book now because Amazon and the tools that Amazon has made accessible. And I think the thing that new authors especially don't often realize is that it's great that everyone can publish their book now, but that's actually also the detriment. Everyone can publish a book very, very, very almost ridiculously easily, which means that the quality of most of the books that you will encounter on Amazon or wherever else, the quality is really, really poor because these are self-published books. They're not edited. There's hardly any design goes into it.
Typos and
typos. Yeah. I mean, there's misinformation, miseducation. No one's fact-checking. I mean, it's really just, and then they're not even being distributed where you would want them to be distributed. So I would say that the common issue for most new authors is just understanding how the process works and how to best leverage the tools that are available to serve their interest, their goals specifically.
Right.
I think you got to come into it with your own set of goals. What is it that you want from your book?
Right.
How do you want your book to perform? Who is the audience you want to reach specifically? And we have to start from there. Okay. And then we have to put a plan together that allows the entire publishing process to be geared towards that specific goal.
Now you are hosting a dedicated publishing workshop for new authors.
Yes. And
even for old ones, I mean people that have written books before. Tell us a little bit about that. When is that coming up and what do you expect to get out of that?
Yes, this is on June 24th. I'm excited about our authors workshop. And I think the thing that I want to get the most out of this personally is the opportunity to resolve some of these misconceptions. Yeah. So that people can leave our authors workshop feeling confident. They can feel empowered to either go and self-publish on their own, or to work with another publishing company. There's some that I would recommend, or to work with us, Walters Publishing, to publish their book. I want them to have options. I want people to understand where it would benefit them to work with a publishing firm or a publishing company, and where it would benefit them to self-publish on their own. And so just making this information available and making it accessible is my number one objective for this June 24th.
So you'd probably
workshop.
have something like a little checklist so that people can say, you know what, I really need help, or I'm going about this in the wrong way, or I'm doing pretty good. Everything that he's mentioned, I've already done that.
Well, we're gonna cover everything from the conception of a manuscript to the actual writing of a manuscript, how to format your manuscript. There's a very specific formula for whether you're writing a fiction book or whether you're writing a nonfiction book, and I think that needs to be discussed. A lot of times we don't know, new authors don't know that there's a formula, and they'll write whatever's in their mind, but what they don't realize is that if they're submitting it to a publisher to be approved, that publisher is actually going to be judging what they've written based off of a pre-existing formula.
Oh, yeah.
So what is that formula?
Right.
I want to share that formula.
Right.
And also, once you have your manuscript, when do you get it copyrighted? That's one of the biggest, I would say, questions I think people have is, when do I get this? Do I copyright it at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end? So once you have your manuscript written, when does the copywriting process come into play? When do you engage with an editor? What does an editor even do? Okay, what is proofreading versus editing? Those are two separate things, and a lot of times we don't realize that.
Yeah.
We think proofreading and editing are the same thing, but they're not. They're separate.
They're not.
So what are those? What is formatting? And then, of course, distribution, and how to think about distribution in a manner that will yield you the highest profit in terms of your royalty, and will allow you to set your price competitively so that you're pleased with the results.
Okay. What makes Walters Publishing and the larger Brandesk platform different from other publishing companies?
Well, okay, so I don't know that there's anyone else doing it like how we're doing it. I don't know that there is anyone else offering the kinds of services that we're offering. I would say first and foremost that Brandesk is sort of the platform. It's the foundation upon which Walters Publishing is built. So when you choose to become a Walters Publishing author, when you choose to work with Walters Publishing to publish your book, you're going to be doing a lot of the day-to-day communications with a Brandesk producer on Brandesk.
Okay.
You're going to be working with Brandesk producers. You're going to be working with Walters Publishing approved editors, designers, format specialists, design directors, but all of that correspondence, all of that communication is taking place in Brandesk. And, I think that is incredibly important. There's not a lot of emails going back and forth. There's not this sort of massive opportunity for information to get lost because it's all over the place. You're not always needing to call and go to a physical office. Brandesk brings this entire process conveniently to your fingertips, right at your computer, right at your telephone. Most smartphones, you can browse the internet, so you can go to the Brandesk site and log in and work with your publishing team. It's, I think, very convenient, and that convenience allows us to adjust prices in a way that really make this process affordable and accessible. So not just in terms of the cost of everything, but how that cost is paid, whether it's through payment plans or through other mechanisms like credits. I think it's a very rewarding and effective and efficient experience. So
On that end, yes.
yeah, so I think people will really enjoy it versus the alternative.
Right. How can our viewers get in contact with you if they want more information?
Well, if you want to learn more about me, my website is www.pierrewalters.com. Really easy to learn about me. And if you wanted to learn more about Brandesk, you could visit www.mybranddesk.com.
Okay.
And that's 2 Ds, branddesk.com.
Yeah, that's a good point, because for a long time I was not putting the second D there. So I can't find him. So we're going to do a lightning rod, because when I look at you, you look like you're under 30 years old, and then I look at your resume and I said, now wait a minute, he's got to be a little older than that. So I'm going to do a lightning rod about some of the accomplishments that you have gotten, and you correct me if I'm wrong or if I leave something out. We're going to be going fast because we are winding down on time. 2008 Society of Adventist Communicators Young Professional of the Year Award. 2009, you directed 2 major television music videos, which earned multiple nominations for Video of the Year on Gospel Music Channel. 2010, you were director of the Year and a Best Gospel Video nomination from BET. And this established you as a recognized talent in the industry. 2011 brought you recognition from the Peachtree Village International Film Festival, first place winner as the one-act adult feature in the DC Black Theater Festival. Am I right so far?
Yeah, you're
okay.
on target.
All right. 2013, you received a Telly Award for the best television series, Real Family Talk. 2017, you nailed the prestigious Queen's World Film Festival nominations for Best Feature Film, Best Screenplay, Best Ensemble Cast for Blue Artists Produced Feature Film, The Red Effect. And then to top it off, you also won the festival's 2017 Best Actor in a Featured Film Award. Did I leave anything out?
That's correct.
Do you have any overall statement that you want to make about all that? I mean, was all this in the United States, or were you traveling abroad any?
Well, I did do quite a bit of traveling abroad. I've directed shows in Mexico. I've directed several music videos in Europe and Russia. Really interesting experiences. And the Real Family Talk show actually not only won an Emmy, but it also won a Telly.
Wow.
I mean, not only won a Telly, but it also won an Emmy.
Won an Emmy Award?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then I also thought about, when did you have time to write the books? You've written 5 books. The first one, you know, we already prove it with pictures. We've already shown that one. That was the first book. The second book was in 2013, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? 2018, Becoming an Author is your next book. And also in 2018, man, I mean, you wrote 2 books in 2018, was Designed to Connect. I'm sorry, Designed to Connect, right?
That's right.
Okay. And then you wrote The Power of Support in 2019. Put that there so you can see that one. And then we had one more, a practical guide to communication. You were a contributing author on that one, and we don't have that one with us. Can you sum up any comments that you want to make about your work?
Yeah, you know, each of these books, I wrote these books primarily because I wanted to make it accessible. I wanted to make the information accessible to people that maybe weren't ready to work with me in professionally, or maybe just due to geography or other circumstances would just not have an opportunity. We would not have an opportunity to work together. So I said, well, let me just put everything that I know on paper in these different categories. Becoming an author, becoming an author is all about how to publish, how to navigate the world of publishing. Designed to Connect is how to use design to effectively brand your business and leverage marketing. And then the Power of Support, I think, is for every leader who has a growing team. How do you leverage the support of others and not be afraid of it?
That's true.
It's there for you, and it can serve you if you manage it well. You know, and so each of these books, I think, are really tools for any entrepreneur to empower them to build the business of their dreams and reach the customers that they're looking to reach.
Well said. We have just a little over 2 minutes left, and I want you to have the last word. So my question is this: what message do you want to leave for small business startups and for those who have been around for several years? And if we have enough time, if you can add something on your thoughts about small businesses struggling through this pandemic.
Well, I'll start with that actually, because I think we can put all that together. The truth is that it's hard to be an entrepreneur. It's really hard. I mean, it's like jumping off a cliff without a safety net, or without a parachute, or you're building your parachute on the way down.
Right, that's right.
You're hoping it's gonna work. Right. So it's really hard. And but you know what? The secret, I think, is to be persistent. The secret is to recognize within yourself that this is something that is core to who you are. This is something that you believe in, and the reality is no one else is going to believe in it they can't see that you believe in it. And so you've got to believe in your own vision. And that sometimes means just being persistent. And especially with the pandemic, the challenges that the pandemic has given to all of us, especially to entrepreneurs, I would say just stick with it. Stick with it, and every day make sure you're making positive steps in the right direction of your dreams and of your goals and of your vision. Don't let a day go by where you aren't moving that needle forward. Right.
Well said. Pierre, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it, and you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for watching Skills to Pay the Bills with our special guest, Pierre Walters, founder and CEO of Blue Artists. If you have questions for Pierre, his information is scrolling on the screen right now. Please join us again next week for another great show. To our small business owners, I leave these parting words. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. See you next week. Bye-bye.